Wolverine was the most popular Marvel character of the 90s, and after his reappearance in X-Men '97, he's back in the movie Wolverine and Deadpool to reclaim his spot as one of the heavy hitters of the House of Ideas. He starred in various computer and 8-bit console games either solo or alongside his fellow X-Men, but none of those games really stood out, until 1992. That's when Konami dropped a multiplayer arcade game that let up to 6 people play together. This arcade classic boosted the team's popularity beyond the comics. That same year, the X-Men animated series premiered on Fox Kids, and to this day, it's one of the most celebrated animated adaptations of comic books. This success led to 2 major companies, Sega and Capcom, snagging the rights to the X-Men characters. X-Men for Sega Genesis, 1993. Released for the Sega Genesis, X-Men was a 2D platformer starring Wolverine, Gambit, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler. You'd explore iconic locations known to the mutants, like the Savage Land, the Shi'ar Empire's homeworld, Excalibur's lighthouse, Asteroid M, and more. The game got props for its impressive graphics for the time and its immersive atmosphere. X-Men, Children of the Atom, 1994. In 1994, Capcom launched one of its most iconic games, X-Men, Children of the Atom. This game kickstarted the Versus series and introduced a more fluid, exaggerated fighting style, with characters' powers covering almost the entire screen, and everyone had super jumps. This intentional over-the-top gameplay would influence many fighting games in the years to come and be copied by countless competitors. X-Men, Mutant Apocalypse, 1994. Later that year, Capcom also released an exclusive adventure game for the Super Nintendo. Each level had its protagonist, and the playable characters were Wolverine, Cyclops, Psylocke, Gambit, and Beast. The game was notoriously difficult, a fact that players remember well. It had solid level design and laid the groundwork for a sequel, Marvel War of the Gems, which featured other Marvel characters, including Wolverine. X-Men 2, Clone Wars for Sega Genesis, 1995. In 1995, Sega released the sequel to the 1993 game. Clone Wars added Psylocke and Beast to the roster. The game improved and refined elements from its predecessor, earning a reputation as one of the best 16-bit games. It had a unique feature: no menu screen. The game starts as soon as you insert the cartridge. It had multiple levels and a secret character, the villain Magneto. Marvel Superheroes, 1995. In 1995, Marvel Superheroes was released, following in the footsteps of Children of the Atom. It featured Wolverine with the same moves and style. The game followed the storyline of the Infinity War, with the Infinity Gems playing a crucial role in gameplay collected as you defeat enemies. X-Men vs. Street Fighter, 1996. 1996 saw the release of the first mutant crossover X-Men vs. Street Fighter, marking Wolverine's first face-off with Ryu and company. To balance the Street Fighters against the mutants, their powers were amped up and all Capcom characters had altered or enhanced moves compared to their original games. This game was a milestone, and a few months later, it got a sequel, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, 1997. It featured the same stages as the previous game with the addition of new characters from the Marvel Universe. The game is famous for its dynamic combat system and special combos. Players could form teams of 2 characters and switch between them during fights, adding strategic depth and unique moves for each character. Marvel vs. Street Fighter was an instant hit and is fondly remembered by fans. Its impact can still be seen in other fighting games and continues to influence the genre. Marvel Superheroes in War of the Gems for SNES, 1996. In Marvel Superheroes in War of the Gems, the plot revolves around the looming threat of Thanos, who's after the 6 Infinity Gems. Each gem grants colossal power, and Thanos plans to use them to take over the universe. As the player, you take on the role of various iconic Marvel heroes, including Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man, to stop Thanos and save the cosmos. The game is a classic beat-em-up, letting you choose between different heroes, each with their own powers and special abilities. With engaging gameplay, you face off against a series of well-known villains and traverse levels inspired by legendary Marvel comic locations. Though it wasn't the most famous of Marvel games, it's well loved by Super Nintendo fans for its fun gameplay and faithful representation of comic book heroes and villains. The game marked an era when superhero games were on the rise and left a lasting legacy with its blend of action and adventure set in the Marvel Universe. X-Men, The Ravages of Apocalypse, 1997. This is one of the most unique games on the list. It started as a mod for Quake but was officially endorsed by Marvel in 1997, being sold as an expansion. It's an FPS where you don't control the mutants but instead invade the X-Mansion and take them down, making it the most violent game in the franchise at the time. Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, 1998. Wolverine and Gambit returned to battle Capcom characters again. This time, It wasn't just Street Fighter warriors, but also characters from other classic Japanese games. Initially released for arcades, but with ports to the PS1 and Dreamcast, it's still considered one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Wolverine stood out as one of the top-tier characters. X-Men: Mutant Academy, 2000. Mixing some of Capcom's gameplay style with Tekken-like visuals, X-Men: Mutant Academy is a 3D fighting game featuring the mutant team. It was relatively well received at the time, released alongside the first movie, and featured the movie's costumes as unlockable outfits for the main characters. The second game came out the following year, adding characters not seen in the movies but well known to comic book fans. It also brought Spider-Man as a secret character. X-Men: Reign of Apocalypse, 2001. A sequel to X-Men: Mutant Wars. It was also the last mutant-exclusive game for handhelds. The game was a pleasant surprise, showing significant graphical improvements over its predecessor. After returning from Mojo's world, Rogue, Storm, Wolverine, and Cyclops discover they are in an alternate timeline where Apocalypse rules everything. The X-Men must defeat Sentinels and mutants and take down Apocalypse to return to their timeline. The gameplay system remains mostly the same, but a new RPG-like upgrade system was added, allowing players to allocate points to different abilities and become stronger by the end of the game. The controls include walking, jumping, running, performing light and heavy attacks, and using 2 types of special moves. There's also the option to play with a friend in online co-op mode. This is undoubtedly the best X-Men game for handhelds. X-Men: Next Dimension, 2002. Next Dimension expanded on the concepts from the first 2 games, Mutant Academy, adding several new characters and 3D maps. Additionally, it featured a story mode that let players fight through a series of battles interspersed with short films that develop the plot. The story mode is loosely based on the comics Operation Zero Tolerance. Sentinels free Bastion, who plans to wipe out the mutant species. The game starts with Sentinels freeing Bastion from S.H.I.E.L.D.'s prison and, in disguise, selling the defense plans of Xavier's school for gifted youngsters to the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood then invades the Institute, manipulated by Bastion, and kidnaps Forge. The X-Men must rescue their comrade, defeat the Sentinels, and stop Bastion's plans. X-Men: Next Dimension is considered by many to be the second best X-Men fighting game, only behind Children of the Atom. X2: Wolverine's Revenge, 2003. Wolverine's Revenge was released alongside the second movie. Although it featured Hugh Jackman on the cover and Patrick Stewart voicing Charles Xavier, it's not set in the Fox movie universe. Playing as Wolverine, you have 48 hours to find an antidote to the deadly Shiva virus running through your veins, with clues pointing to the Weapon X facility. To save his life, Logan must infiltrate the heavily guarded Canadian fortress where his skeletal structure was bonded with adamantium. The location might also hold clues about his dark past. X-Men Legends, 2004 and X-Men Legends 2. X-Men Legends is still considered a classic, blending RPG and action elements inspired by games like Diablo and Gauntlet. You play with 4 mutants simultaneously, and the game can be played co-op, with each character leveling up as the adventure progresses. There are 16 starting X-Men, but you can unlock more characters as you play. The sequel came out the following year, with Apocalypse as the main villain. In it, the X-Men team up with the Brotherhood of Mutants, and you can also play as Magneto's crew. These games are still regarded as classics of their time, serving as a template for many games and the Marvel Ultimate Alliance franchise. Ultimate Spider-Man, 2005. In this game, Wolverine makes a cameo in a boss fight against Venom, where you face him as the boss. Marvel Ultimate Alliance, 2006. In Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Wolverine takes a central role as one of the main playable characters in this action RPG that unites heroes from across the Marvel Universe. The game follows a team of superheroes as they try to stop Doctor Doom and the Masters of Evil from taking over the world. You can form your own team of heroes, each with unique powers and abilities, allowing for customizable playstyles. Wolverine's healing factor and adamantium claws make him a formidable force on the battlefield. The game was widely praised for its engaging gameplay, massive roster, and replayability, leading to multiple sequels.
Okay, boy. Let's see what you got. That all you got?
X-Men Origins Wolverine, 2009. This game was released alongside the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie, but it turned out to be much better than the film itself. It's an action-packed hack-and-slash where you control Wolverine, voiced by Hugh Jackman, as he goes on a rampage through enemies. The game is known for its visceral combat, with brutal finishing moves, a regenerative health system that visually shows Wolverine's healing factor in action, and an engaging storyline that expands on the movie's plot. Fans and critics alike appreciated the game's dark tone and faithful representation of Wolverine's ferocity.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, 2011. Wolverine makes a strong return in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, showcasing his classic moveset and aggressive fighting style. The game introduced new characters from both the Marvel and Capcom universes, offering fast-paced gameplay with a focus on team-based combat. Wolverine's quick attacks and powerful combos made him a fan favorite, and the game's success led to an updated version, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which included even more characters and balanced gameplay mechanics. Marvel Avengers, Battle for Earth, 2012. Remember the Kinect? Even Marvel jumped on that bandwagon, and Wolverine was one of the standout characters in this motion-controlled game. Deadpool, 2013. Following the same style as Wolverine Origins, Deadpool also got an action game developed by Activision. However, unlike the Wolverine game, this one isn't based on a movie and features an original storyline. Wolverine makes a few appearances in the game, but he's not a playable character. Marvel Omega, MMO. Marvel Contest of Champions, Mobile. Marvel Strike Force, Mobile. Marvel Powers United, VR. 2018. LEGO Marvel Superheroes. In LEGO Marvel Superheroes, Wolverine is a playable character who brings his iconic claws and healing factor into the lighthearted and humorous world of LEGO. The game follows an original story where various Marvel heroes team up to stop villains from assembling a super weapon. Wolverine's abilities allow him to climb walls, slash through obstacles, and heal damage, making him a versatile character in the game's many puzzles and battles. The game was well received for its fun gameplay, humor, and the vast array of characters from the Marvel Universe. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 to 2019. The long-awaited sequel, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, was released exclusively for the Nintendo Switch. Wolverine is once again a standout character, featuring new abilities while continuing his role as a recurring character in the series since X-Men Legends. Fortnite, 2020 and 2024. Wolverine appears in two different Fortnite events. First in 2020 during Chapter 2, Season 4, and more recently to coincide with the release of the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. These games highlight Wolverine's enduring popularity and his status as one of Marvel's most iconic characters. His unique powers, combined with his gritty personality, make him a perfect fit for the fast-paced, action-oriented gameplay that fans love. From classic beat 'em UPS to modern tactical RPGs, Wolverine continues to slash his way through the gaming world, proving that he's still the best at what he does.